Hi guys, how are we all doing today? So today's job is covering a pair of Land Rover Defender front door cards in vinyl. So these are going to match a set of seats that I've done already and a cubby box. So if you want to see those videos, I'll leave a link in the description. I'm going to cover this in the same vinyl, but I'm not going to cover it in one big piece of vinyl. It's having no fancy stitching or anything like that. It's just going to be very plain, but I'm going to put some seams in it. So along this line here, I'm going to put a seam, and I'm going to put a seam here. So it'll be three pieces, a piece at the top, piece at the middle, piece at the bottom. I'm doing that mainly because of this here. So where the door catch is here, if I tried to cover this in one single piece, chances are it wouldn't cover very well. So I'm going to put a seam here, and then I'm going to extend the seam out to give me more room at this part here. You'll see when I sew them together, or when I cut them out, how they will look. So the first job is I'm going to just have a quick measure of each piece. I'm going to over measure on the ends here and the tops and bottom. Better to have more fabric than you need. You can never add more. It's always better to have a lot more than not enough. So when it comes to measuring things like this, always measure the widest part. So the widest part on this side is here, and the widest part on this side is here. So I need to measure across the centre, but add whatever that is, and then I'll add probably 1.5 inches to each measurement on the width of it, and the same at the top, 1.5 inches-ish to these measurements for the bottom measurement and the top measurement, just to give me, oh, itchy nose this morning, just to give me enough vinyl to wrap around. It'll be more than enough because the vinyl will stretch a little bit. So that's 36 inches plus 3 is 39 inches. I'm going to round it up to 40 just to be on the safe side. We'll draw the door card out. So it's 40 inches across the width. The middle piece is quite critical because this has a seam here and here, so that measurement has to be correct. So that is 9 7/8 of an inch. 9 7/8. I also need to measure from here to here. So that is 32 3/4. 32 3/4. And I'm going to add 1/2 inch extra here. So I'll just put in 1/2 inch there. Bottom measurement comes to, we call it 6.5 inches plus 1.5 inches. So that's 8 inches. The top measurement at its widest point is 11 3/4. That's 13 1/4. So now that I've took the measurements, I need to do some prep on the card. I'm not sure if you can see, the card has got a lot of stains on it, some dirt. Looks like someone spilt the coffee or soft drink or whatever. It looks a little bit sticky here. So I'm going to give it a wash down first. The card's not in bad condition. There's a little chip out of it here on the corner. A little scuff there on that corner, but it's not going to cause me any issues. So I'll give it a wash down just with some soapy liquid, just to get rid of all the stickiness on it and the dirt. Then I'll give it a quick rub down, and then I'll give it a wipe over with some acetone. Once I've done all that, I'll put the card to one side, I'll cut out the pieces, sew them together, check it against the door card. I'm not going to assume that I've cut it right and that I've sewn it together right, even though I probably will have done. It's not my first door card. So I'm not using any specialist cleaner. This is just fairy liquid, bit of dish soap on a sponge, and get it wet. Try and get in all the recesses. So you might think giving it a wipe over with acetone would be sufficient for things like this. I see people doing it on the internet. They just go, oh, just wipe it with acetone. Acetone won't get rid of dirt, it won't get rid of mud. It'll get rid of grease, which is quite good at, but water-based stains, like just general dirt, acetone won't always get rid of things like that. But yeah, fairy liquid is quite a good degreaser. So I'm just going to give them a rinse off now. I'm just going to take them outside and leave them in the rain. No, I'm not really. I'm just going to wipe them down with a bit of water now. So while the door cards dry off properly, I will cut out the vinyl, sew it together, do the prep, quick sand down on the door cards and wipe them off with acetone and get ready for gluing. Now the glue is a special glue, so I'll explain about the glue when I get round to doing it. But yeah, cutting out and sewing now. So my first measurement is going to be the bottom part. It's 8 inches high, but I need to add a seam allowance, so it's 8 3/8. Put that line there. Now I need to remove 1/2 inch from here and here. So remove the 1/2 inch here and here. So my 1.5 inch extra is there. And my measurement was 32 3/4, so 32 3/4 is here. Now, I'm not going to add it in a step like that, I'm going to add it as a diagonal. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. There we go. So I'm going to do the same thing with the top piece, add the 1/2 inch and then do the little diagonal there, and they'll then get sewn together. There, add 1/2 inch. So that's all the pieces now drawn out onto the vinyl. I'm going to cut them out and sew them together. So I've now machined the pieces together. What I need to do next is I need to trim the seam allowance down. This seam allowance is 3/8 of an inch, and the actual recess in the door cards here and here is a lot less than that. So if I leave the seam allowance as it is, it just won't fit in. So I need to trim it down to allow it to fit inside here. Now I could have machined it at a smaller seam allowance and not bothered to trim it because it's a smaller seam allowance, but I like to keep my seam allowances all the same. It just makes my life easier when it comes to machining things together. So I'll trim quite close to the edge. I'll put these to one side now. So I also need to extend these grooves here. If you can see, the grooves don't go all the way down here. So I'm going to extend the grooves and then cut a little bit at the bottom here, just to allow that seam to fit inside. Now to cut the groove, I'm going to use a hot knife. So if you've not seen one of these before, it is literally a knife that just gets hot. And now I'm just going to give them a quick rub down. And then I'll wipe over with acetone. I'm going to make sure I get in all these creases here. And we're going to get inside these grooves. So that's the prep on that one done. I need to do the same with the other one, and then I'm ready for gluing. Put that to one side for now. So I've now done all the prep on the door cards and the fabric is ready to be glued on. But before I'm going to start gluing, I want to explain about the glue that I'm going to use. So I'm going to use this glue. So this is it's not a standard contact adhesive like these here. So I've got two spray contact adhesives here. This one is just a standard spray contact adhesive, and this one is a high temperature spray contact adhesive. I'm not going to use either one of these, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm spraying on a vinyl fabric. Vinyl fabrics have a plasticizer in the vinyl. Now, with a standard contact adhesive, what happens is you use the glue as you would normally, and it will initially bond, but over time you get a migration of the plasticizer that's in the vinyl. So that then goes into the glue, and the glue becomes soft again and doesn't stick. Now people think it's heat that does this, and it's not, it's the plasticizer. It doesn't allow the migration of the plasticizer from the vinyl into the glue. So once this is stuck, it'll never come unstuck again. It's also rated to 160 degrees C, so there's no problem with any temperature. Even in hot climates, it will still bond. Now, this glue isn't cheap. It used to be about £300 a tin a few years ago. Now it's closer to £600 or even more per tin. It's 22 litres. Most people are not going to go out and buy one of these just for one job. You can buy plasticizer resistant contact adhesive in brushable form, so just like a normal tin of contact adhesive. It's the same kind of thing. Comes in 1 litre or 5 litre tins. You have to brush it onto both surfaces. A little bit harder to use, but it is still doable, and it's a lot cheaper than buying this kind of stuff. But I am going to give the bottle a shake. That's heavy. I'm also going to spray a little bit of the glue inside a pot, so I'm going to need that. So I'm going to protect the bench. Don't want to get glue everywhere. So I'm going to spray the fabric first, or the vinyl first. I'm going to pin the vinyl to the bench. So I'm going to use the glue that I've put in this pot just to glue these edges here, just to make sure there's actually plenty of glue in there. Sometimes when you use a spray adhesive, you sometimes get gaps when you've got a raised part like this. You sometimes get gaps that are underneath. So, but I want to make sure there's plenty of glue along that seam edge. Spray a little bit of glue in the bin just to make sure it's spraying correctly. I'm going to put this to one side for a minute. And I'm going to do the same now here. So I'm also going to make sure that I don't have any glue on the tips of my fingers, which I probably do have from gluing all that up, but I don't want to transfer that over to the good side of the vinyl. So I'm going to clean my fingers off. So now when it comes to actually sticking the vinyl on, I need to start at this point here. I've made the vinyl to fit this area, so that is the important bit. I'm not going to lay the fabric over the top and hope it gets in place right. I need to make sure that it doesn't stick where I don't want it to. So what I'm going to use is some patterning plastic. I'm just going to place the patterning plastic just there, just so it's probably 1/8 of an inch away from the line here. I'm going to do the same with this one. So that's just going to prevent the two pieces sticking together where I don't want them to. So I'm just going to glue into this groove to start off with. Once I've got that into place, I can start to work down. So I'll work this line first and then come down to this line here. You can't see it through the plastic, but the second line down. So the centre panel that I've cut and machined together will be done first, and then I'll work bottom and then I'll work top. So now that I've got plastic on, I can offer this up, get this in the correct position. So I'm just laying it on top, just making sure that my seam is going to fall right into the groove, just like Madonna. I'm just going to now push the seam allowance into that groove. So move that over, and I'm going to push it from this side now. Oops. Make sure I can get this into this groove now. So now I'm going to remove the plastic. Turn the steamer on. I've got to find my second groove, so I'm just gonna use my finger and just find where that is. So that's the first thing I'm going to work on. So now using some heat from the steamer. This will just help the vinyl stretch and the glue become a little bit more sticky now. going to try and pull the vinyl now to this part here, where this bit is here. I'm going to pull as much of this vinyl here towards there. So I'm not actually pushing the vinyl onto the door card yet. I'm just applying some heat so I can stretch it. Not happy there. No, not happy at all. So I can release that a little bit and give it a pull. There we go. So the heat from the steamer just allows me to release a little bit and pull. I'm just tightening that up there. Do the same here. This, see how, I'm not sure if you can see here, this has got a little bit of a raise in it and this hasn't. So I'm going to try and match it all the way along. So I'll try and release it. Give it a pull. It's better. Happy with that now. So now I'm going to move and do the top part. So I'm just going to glue it up to, see where the recess is here. I'm going to glue it up to that edge there, and then I'm going to work in this part here. So I'm going to put a bit of tension on it. I'm just working in this part here. So because I've applied quite a lot of heat, what I have to do, I've got to wait till it starts to cool before I stop putting pressure on. If I leave it to cool without putting pressure on, it might start to lift a little bit. There we go. So now, work on this part here. Just working this way. So this corner here is going to need quite a lot of stretching. So I'm just going to apply heat without actually touching the vinyl down on the door card. I'm going to put as much stretch in as I can. There we go. So the same with this side here. I need to put quite a lot of stretch into here, so I'm going to heat that bit. And now this part here. Put a little bit more heat into this part here, where the little recess is for the door catch. And I'm just going to work down the sides. I'll do this edge first. So it's now effectively glued all over the card. I need to flip it over now, and I need to start doing the back. Now what I'm going to do with the back is I'm going to staple the back. I don't need to actually glue it. I will use the steamer just to reactivate the glue that is along the edge of the vinyl. That'll just help it a little bit. But yeah, it's going to get stapled all the way around the card. I'll have 5 minutes, quick break, a drink, and then come back and staple this on. So I'm just going to use some 4mm staples on this. I'll flip it over, check it all. So I need to punch a hole in here. I'll use a soldering iron for that. I'll just put a hole in there. One on there. Again, I'll use a soldering iron just to put the hole in there. Cut the hole here for the door catch, and cut out here for the latch. Oh, and also the 2 holes here. A bit of a clean off. Rid of any dirty marks that are on it. Well, there will be some. One door card. So I just need to do the same with the other one.